So, hi everybody. We promised you the video before New Year's, and here we are. I apologize for not having the green screen up. I have the tree up and there's no room for it. And I would like to thank everybody that submitted their questions, and I'd like to thank Candace again for joining us today, who will be asking the questions and pointing me with the big pointy stick when I go too way off subject. So I will try to answer these the best I can, and so let's go.
Sounds good. So, have you ever been scared on an investigation?
Not scared, freaked out, but not really scared. Not to the point where I'm running, screaming out of a room. And that's one thing that drives me nuts why I can't watch a lot of the shows. And you know what show I'm talking about. You get these big guys, and they've got thousands of dollars worth of equipment that we can only dream of. And a mouse runs by and farts, and they run screaming out of the room like a bunch of girls at a Justin Bieber concert. And so, no, I haven't been scared to that point. But a couple times I've been freaked out. The first one was at the CKUA investigation that we have up on the channel regarding the shadow figure. If you want to know more about that, just check it out. The second one was in the Mackay School. We were on investigation. It was Brian the cop, Jeanette, Steve, and I. And Brian and Steve were upstairs in where they used to have the hold the old legislature, and we were downstairs. And it was kind of creepy anyway, because I don't know if you've ever been in the Mackay School, but
No.
down in the basement they have like these old bathrooms and dripping. It's a whole kind of atmosphere going on. But I wanted to go into the utility room to check the decibel and EMF readings to see if there was a natural explanation why people feel like kind of creeped out down there. And I had my hand to check the utility room door, and it was locked, and I was kind of leaning on it. And I was asking Jeanette if she could go find the keys. And while I was like that, and I used to weigh quite a bit more back in them days, I actually had my weight on it, and while I was talking to her, it was like something on the other side grabbed the handle and went like this, and like really wrenched my wrist, and I jumped right back. And I went, what the hell was that? And she would not do it. But tried it again, didn't happen, tried it again. Brian even came down and tried it, and didn't happen again. So I still can't understand why that happened. And
Not gonna lie, that would creep me out.
yeah, that's why I'd like to go back there. And actually another one, it was actually a funny freak out, and this includes Brian Anderson. It was at the York Hotel in Grand Prairie, and it was an abandoned hotel, and they still had some stuff in people's rooms. And it was Brian, Brenda, and I. And Brian Anderson was with me, and we were kind of checking out the rooms. And Brian Anderson, Brian the police officer, he was way on the other end investigating, and Brenda was off doing her own thing. And Brian and I were going in these rooms, and we just had our flashlights, and we went into this one room and we looked, and both of us just stopped dead in our tracks because it looked like somebody was sleeping there. And I'll put a picture up.
Brian told me that.
Yeah. And we're like, is that somebody sleeping? And Brian was going, well, maybe because it's abandoned, somebody probably caught in, and they've got like people doing drugs and stuff, and maybe somebody just fell asleep. And then all of a sudden it came to, oh my God, maybe it's a dead body. And so this is before we had our walkie-talkies, and I'm like, Brian! Screaming for the other Brian. Because if it's a dead body, best to have a police officer on your team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he didn't hear me. So it was like something out of Scooby-Doo. I'm like, oh, screw this. And I started walking up to it, and Brian had his hand on my shoulder, and he's right behind me, like kind of like peeking over. And I kicked it and said, hello, are you okay? Hello? And I went, what the hell? And I kicked it, and I ripped open the blankets. Somebody had set up the blankets to look like a body. That's the only thing I could explain. But that was a freak out, because it's like, thinking that you actually found somebody that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay, more than once I've been freaked out.
So why did you go into ghost hunting?
Well, I got interested in paranormal investigations and exploration from a very young age. Having a strong Scottish side from my mother, you always heard the ghost stories and stuff. But My dad had a particular story when he was a kid, and they used to travel quite a bit. My grandpa had 19 kids. My dad was one of 10 with my grandma, and then he had another 9. But about a farmhouse that he stayed in when he was a kid. I'm not going to go into that because this video is going to be way too long. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm ready to start going through that stuff now. And what I'll do is I'll transcribe it and I'll put it up on our page. And then when I was 6 years old, I had my first experience. And the interesting thing about that is everybody that was in this house had an experience. And again, I'm not going to go into the story because it's going to be too long. I already have it up on our webpage. I'll put a link below. But it has to do with some cousins of mine. Even though I was 6 years old, I was the youngest of the youngest, so I had cousins who already had families and children. And they moved into this house in Onaway that was built in 1925, around there, and it was right across from the Onaway Museum, and some freaky stuff happened there. And again, I'll put a link up. But after that experience, I started talking to my mom more about it, and my mom encouraged me to think. And as I got older, I started coming up with theories on that, and she started to encourage me on that. And my mom, one of the smartest women I know, very book read. And in the 80s, there was this show on TV, and it starred James Doohan from Star Trek, and he was talking about haunted places in Canada. And the funny thing is I was trying to look on YouTube for it because I wanted to put a link, couldn't find it. Tried finding it on Google, couldn't find it, and went back into my own personal YouTube page, and there it was. So I do have a link to that on our Facebook page, and it talks about the Mackay School and the Banff Springs Hotel, and in it they're not just talking about the hauntings, but they're talking about people who investigate and stuff like that, so that really got me into it. And then because it was the 80s, we didn't have the internet, and our computers still had the big floppy disks. I took my cassette recorder and was doing my own little EVP experiments, and stole my dad's Polaroid camera, and even did the white noise thing on TV. And as I got older, I met friends and people who had their own experiences and do little investigations, or talk about theories and stuff like that. And around 2004, I was dating somebody from Essex, England, and he was talking to me about his experiences working in a haunted pub that was built in about the 1600s, and I was telling him what I thought was going on. He said, "Why don't you get a team together?" And I kind of went, "A team?" And he said, "We've got teams in Britain that have been investigating for 30, 40 years. And I thought, yeah, good idea. So we went out and bought a whole bunch of equipment, got a few people, and started Hauntings Paranormal Investigations Alberta. So that's how I got into that, and did a little web page and did some theories on there about orbs and stuff like that. And I didn't contact these guys, but I think it was him that actually said, "Do you know that your article's on Coast to Coast AM in the States?" And I went, "What?" So I went over there, and sure enough, they had my article on orbs, and I very honored, freaked out, but honored. And so that kind of got Shaw TV contacted us, and I did a little thing for them. And then what actually really started us into investigations, like opening more investigations to us. And Bob, if you're out there, I'd like to thank you. Do you remember a place called Naked Cyber Cafe downtown?
No.
Oh, okay. It was on Jasper Avenue, and it was in one of the buildings that was built in around 1909. It was one of the old furriers, because of where the original location of the fort was. Because it's been moved. On Jasper Avenue there, you had a whole bunch of furriers. The old CKUA building is one of them too. And he said, yeah, there's been people kind of creeped out in the basement. I've never felt anything. And I said, oh, really? And he said, but there's something unique about our basement. I went, what was that? And he said, there's like these interconnecting, used to be tunnels, but they're now hallways into this one big room, because that's where they used to transport the furs and used to cure them and everything. I went, oh, okay. He said, so yeah, if you want to go down there, go investigate. And I'm like, okay, awesome. So we went down there, explained a few things, a couple weird things with our equipment was happening. There's even this one part, and I'll put a picture up, that it's a little freaky when you go down there, because there's these stairs to nowhere, like in the
Winchester.
Winchester House, thank you. And there must have been like an opening there. And the elevator, the original elevator, it's creepy as hell, and we did get some weird audio in front of that. But anyway, so we did a few investigations there, and I have to go into this story too. And so don't poke me with the stick yet. But so we did a few investigations there, and then Big Breakfast asked if they could come down with us and do an investigation. So I went down there with them and did that. And around that time, we were doing a fundraiser in the Naked Cyber Cafe for the homeless. And I called Bob and I said, I have a painting I'd like to donate for the auction. And he said, I thought your team was the team that was down here. And I'm like, what? There's a team there? And he said, yeah, there's a team investigating, and he described who they were, and I'm like, oh no, they're not associated with us. In fact, they hate me. And he said, oh yeah, the owner let them down there. And I said, well, you know, I have to come down with the painting anyway. So I went down there, and he was explaining they brought in a medium or something like that. And he didn't do this, but somebody else, I'm not going to say who, actually told them before they went down there, do you know a 5-year-old boy died down there? Which is complete BS. So I never saw these guys' investigation or anything like that, but if anybody out there has seen and they're like, oh, they chanted peanut butter and came up with a 5-year-old dead boy, yeah, it kind of goes along with what I've been saying for years. And anyway, just for the hell of it, I went down there, and when I went down there, it looked like, they gave me a look like I ran over their puppy. And like, what the hell are you doing down there? I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Beth. And the one girl goes, yeah, I know who you are. And I said, well, you know, we've done the investigations down here. If you have any questions or I would like to see any of our data, I'm upstairs having a coffee. Feel free to join me. Of course, they never contacted me. But I find it very funny that, you know, we were the first ones to ever do an investigation. These people that had been slamming us actually kind of rode on our coattails. So anyway. But that's, but being on Big Breakfast actually opened up new opportunities for us, and we started getting calls from homes and that. So that's a very long story of how I got into paranormal investigations. And that.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Okay, this is going to be a long one, and I apologize. Now, if it was like only in Canada, of course the Banff Springs Hotel, and there's a few reasons for that. Ever since it was built in 1888, there's been reports of activity there, so it seemed to be a hotbed. I don't know if it still is. And the second reason is, again, it was built in 1888. And if my life would have been different and I had the opportunity, I would have gotten my master's degree in history. I would have studied more on medieval warfare and that. But I just love history in itself, and especially Victorian and Edwardian architecture. And in Alberta, it's hard to find that anymore, and Candace will probably agree with me on this. Edmonton Council is responsible, and landowners, for most of our history disappearing. We had some Victorian and Edwardian buildings, they're gone. It doesn't matter if they've got the designated brass plaque saying historical building. If somebody comes up with enough of this, it's gone. The latest is the Garneau Hotel that was on the corner of 124 and Stony Plain Road.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a haunted place too. We never investigated there, but I went there for dinner and that. And gorgeous, gorgeous place. Just a little blip in the news, and before you know, it was leveled and a piece of crap went up. And that's my opinion. Yep. And the opinions in this video are not, has nothing to do with people that have been on the society or future on the society. But yeah, so everything in this video is my opinion. But my opinion, it's a piece of garbage, and it's an eyesore. And so to be able to go to a place that still exists from that era it would just be amazing. And the third reason is to because it's in the mountains. It's a castle in the mountains. Even my ex from England, we couldn't afford to stay there, but we drove down there and we drove up to it, and he's like, I'm from England and this impresses me. So he was fascinated by it. But the fact that it's situated in the mountains and it's around a lot of quartz and granite that's in the mountains, you got stone tape theory experiments you can try. So that'd be one of the reasons that I'd be there. So yeah, that's one. But if it wasn't secluded to Canada, Scotland, definitely Scotland and Ireland. And of course Scotland, because again, my strong Scottish roots from my mother. But also because while I've been actually watching them on YouTube for quite a while, urban exploring videos. Have you ever watched any of them?
No.
I'll send you some. And
Just the big screaming, crying boys.
Oh. And so urban exploring, what these guys do, they're the ones that are true to their art form. They're actually they trespass. It's the only law that they're breaking. They don't break into these places. They go in there. They take film, video, and leave. Their credo is leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but photos, pictures, video. And they go in there. They don't graffiti. They don't steal anything. They just document history for the rest of us, which is fascinating. And one of these guys, his name is Urbex Pajerico, and he's from Scotland, and he's funny. And he hangs out with Tommy and Dale, and they're quite funny too. But he goes to a lot of these places in Scotland you never heard of, like these abandoned buildings and that. And there's been a couple times he's been in, and this one place, there's a whole bunch of flies in this one room where there's nothing that there should have been flies. So instantly he's thinking, oh, there's not good activity here. So yeah, to go to Scotland and go to places like that. In fact, that would be a dream after seeing some of his places. To go to Scotland and team up with Urbex Pajerico, like have him lead us on a Urbex Explorer, and then we can lead him on a paranormal investigation. Two factors would have to factor. I'd have to win the bloody lottery, and number two, he wouldn't mind hanging out with aging paranormal, slightly eccentric chick from Edmonton. So yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen.
But we're nice though, we're from Canada.
Well, yes,
Canadians.
yeah, we're Canadian. But, and what I'll do is I'll put a link to his page down below. Check him out. Another great thing about his videos is when he goes on the Explorer, he's actually giving a history, and if he hasn't found it by the time he goes on the Explorer, he'll put links so you can read about him. So it's really good. And again, England, I have a strong English side from my dad. Traced back our history to 1180. So England, yeah, but you're never going to get a chance to do things like the Tower of London. There's no way, because of all the tourists, and you have to get special recognition from the Queen or something like that. That's never going to happen. But there are places with another urban explorer I've been watching, named Flex Urban Explorers. He's a young guy, another funny guy, has a lot of respect for the places he goes, and he goes to some places that would be fairly interesting too. And again, Ireland, definitely. And one place I never thought of would be Wales. And the reason I was thinking Wales is because, again, I've been watching a lot of these Urbex channels and that, and there was this one guy I had a lot of respect, totally lost all respect for him now. Because in the beginning he was really good at what he did. Now he's using cheap tricks and stuff like that too. Because now he admits that the way he's making money is through his channel, so he does cheap tricks to get more subscribers and that.
Not cool.
Not cool. But, and he actually hung out with Flex at one time. But through him, there was another urban explorer in England, and he has his own paranormal channel. And I checked his paranormal channel out, and he was doing an urban explorer / paranormal investigation, and he would go into these abandoned mental asylums. Now, we're talking, we're not talking asylums from like the 60s. We're talking about places that were built like late 1700s, early 1800s that used to be manor houses, and then they changed to everything from where they kept prisoners of war to where they had makeshift hospitals in World War I and that, and then became asylums. And some of the footage in that, not really the footage, but some of the things that happened to them in there are very interesting. especially when he gets thrown out of the way and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting going
The
there.
residual would be
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, and one thing that and everybody knows that I don't like are spirit boxes. But his videos kind of changed my mind on maybe experimenting with one or two. What he did with his spirit box is he actually opened it, removed the antenna, and he keeps it on FM so it doesn't pick up a whole bunch of radio stations. And some of the stuff that he picked up are quite interesting. Like he gets whole sentences that has nothing, it sounds like nothing to do with the radio station. Yeah. And so, yeah, to go do something like that. And actually, a little sidebar on this one. Don't poke me. I actually, he had a live feed going one day, and so everybody was like commenting and was responding to him right away. And I said, everybody's like, hello from Texas, hello from Wales, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, hello from Canada. And actually some idiot goes on, you know what I like about Canada? Sweet FA. And this is the type of people you run into on YouTube that have nothing better to do. But I said, been doing it for 20 years, really like your investigations at these mental asylums. And he said, oh, cool, that's great. If you caught anything, if you have any video to show me, I would love to see it. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll catch up with you later. And he told me to send it through Facebook. So a couple days went by. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to contact him. And so I sent him that clip from the Clive video where it looks like something's trying to grab that coin. And went into it later, and I kind of explained the history of the hotel. And he read it, didn't get a response. Kind of, ignored it for a while. I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't know who I am, because on his channel, I'm under my personal channel, not the Tapas channel. So I explained to him who we were, and I gave him the website and all this other stuff. Read it, didn't hear from him. So I don't know what's going on. It's too bad, too, because when we were hunting in Paranormal Investigations Alberta, we actually collaborated once in a while with the group in Britain that the guy had been doing it for 30 years, and he had doctorates of the yin-yang. And we lost contact with him, and when we get into the full swing again, I would like to collaborate with somebody from another part of the world, because it's great to get their impressions. And even though it's England, we do see things a little bit different, especially because their history goes all the way back. And so yeah, it's too bad. It's not like I wanted to take his subscribers. It's just that I was hoping for collaboration. But we'll still probably be looking for collaboration on that. So so those are another couple other places. And I know a lot of people who know me, friends, people I work with, are probably going, oh, she's going to mention Romania. So, because I've been driving everybody nuts by going on about Romania for the last few years. And the reason I want to go to Romania isn't not necessarily paranormal investigations. It's because I'm fascinated by the culture. I'm fascinated by the music. In fact, music used to be a really important part of my life, but when my dad got sick, I kind of lost it, except for the band Earshot. Love Will Martin. And I started listening to Romanian music, and even though you might not be able to understand the lyrics, it's really cool. Robin and the Backstabbers, check them out. Yeah, so their music, I've been trying to learn their language. Problem is, in the last 7 months when I got sick, I can't really retain things too well. And as a person with a lisp, it's really hard to speak Romanian, like, for instance, mulțumesc, and you don't want to start spitting on people. But, yeah, I've been trying to learn in Aș vrea cigarete, vă rog. Can I have a cigarette, please? But, yeah, they've got the same smoking laws there now. But, so I've been studying the language, but one of the main reasons I always wanted to go to Romania is because despite the political bullshit that they went through, and they still are, aren't we all? They have managed to retain a lot of their medieval history, like places like Sighișoara, and that they have like the original buildings. They've been, of course, they've been remodeled, not over the years, but like you got buildings from 1300s that might have been remodeled in the 1400s and that. And Brasov and places like that. And they have such a strong medieval history. And of course, with a strong medieval history, in Romania, you can't avoid Vlad and Vlad's family. And I've been actually researching their medieval history for for quite a few years now. And on the note of Vlad, and I drive people nuts with this too, I know. Get me talking about Vlad, you can't shut me up. But Brian Castle is not his castle, folks. Please. This urban explorer that I watched, that I lost respect for, he went to Romania and he's like, oh, it's Vlad's castle, he lived here, blah, blah, blah. It's not Vlad's castle. If he wanted it to be his castle, damn straight it would have been his castle. There's only two reasons he might have stayed there. A, when he was reinforcing Panari, which was actually originally, I think, built by his grandfather, and I apologize for any Romanians out there because I've heard it pronounced two different ways, Mircea and Mircea, the elder. That was his, and he had a really huge important part in medieval history. But he might have stayed at Braun Castle while that was being reinforced. And the second reason is because before his third and final reign, he was held by the Hungarians as prisoner for about 12 years. And before his third and final reign, when he was being transported back to the area, because there wasn't a Romania at that time, it's all principalities, of course, Wallachia and Transylvania. And when he was transported back there, he might stay there for a couple months. So. But I have seen a lot of paranormal channels going, we're going to go to Romania, and they're hoping to get Vlad. The chances of you going to Romania and getting Vlad is like going to Scotland and getting William Wallace. Ain't going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Now, if you can climb the 1,480 steps to one of Vlad's main fortresses again, Panari, it's just a ruin now. If you do get anything, it would probably be residuals from all the battles and the conflicts with the Turks, the inner conflicts with the boyars / nobles, and all the deceit and the horrible things that happened in that country. You're not going to get Vlad. And that's supposedly the fortress that his wife, that's still known as the unknown noblewoman, threw herself off.
Oh, wow.
After getting an arrow shot into the window by somebody warning that the Turks was coming, and she knew what was going to happen to her if the Turks got a hold of her. So the legend says that she threw herself off from the battlements into the river. And I doubt you're even going to get that, but you'll probably get residuals from all the oppression and everything that happened in that area. And yes, possibly the tortures. But Vlad wasn't the only one that was impaling people. He did a lot of other tortures too. People don't realize that the Holy Roman Empire at that time were very good at it too. There was a lot of Hungarians that were doing it, but it was hushed up. And Vlad learned it from the Turks. So he wasn't the only one, but because of Bram Stoker's book, and because of the legend that surrounded him, that's why he's most known for that. And the only reason Braun Castle is associated with him is because of Bram Stoker's book, because he didn't even visit Romania. He just took a whole bunch of books off a bookshelf and came up with this story. And so historians believe that Braun Castle was the castle that he based it on. Now there is, I guess, a famous, I didn't know about it, paranormal place in Romania. And I did know about it because, again, I'm studying the medieval history and the culture. But it came to my attention, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates.
No, I don't think so.
But I rarely watch TV anymore, but that's one of my favorite shows. And he used to have a TV show called Destination Truth. And
I watched that one.
Yeah, and you've probably seen it, though. They went to the Hoia Baciu forest in Romania.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a complete dead zone, this huge circle in this forest. I'll put a picture. And it's a huge dead zone. Nothing grows. And people have disappeared there. Livestock has disappeared there. They've seen strange lights, reports of UFOs. People who go there with their equipment breaks down. So if I was to do a paranormal investigation there, it would probably be in the Hoia Baciu forest, or yeah, I'd be tempted to take something up to Panari. I just want to do the steps because that's a life dream of mine, to do those steps. But yeah, the forest would be a good place to go. And here we go again. I'm going to do a little bit of a rant here, and I apologize to everybody. This guy who went to Romania that I lost respect for, he said that he went to the forest, and I got all excited about it. So I started watching his channel, and they didn't move away from the trees. And I said, "Oh, great video, but it's too bad. Why didn't you get into the middle of the forest?" And again, put a picture up, see how huge it is. And I started getting attacked by, I don't know, this one girl came on and just started attacking me and calling me a whole bunch of names and stuff like that. And I just kind of, maybe she had a crush on him or something. But yeah, again, I was trying to explain. I didn't know about the forest, you know, and it didn't look like they were in the center of it. And so people came to my defense, and then she went on, and some other idiot came on and started bitching about Canada again. So I actually deleted the comment, but I wanted to bring that up, and because people have asked, why do I hold comments on our videos on our channel? Because of stuff like this. Sometimes kids will come on and that, and I was told that if I release the comments that I don't have to review them, I just let people put things up there, our channel will get more views. To me, bullying is, I can't stand bullying. And there was actually a comment that was left on one of our videos that I didn't notice because I hadn't been on it for many years. And it was, I'm not even going to say what it was, but it was disgusting about women. And so people actually saw that. I deleted it, and actually when I went to go block the person's account had been taken down. So obviously this person did it on other accounts. But that's why I'm holding the comments for now. You want to make a constructive argument or anything like that, I'll release the comments and I will definitely answer them. It's not like I don't have a thick skin. It's sagging, but I do have a thick skin. So yeah, if you have any constructive comments or anything like that, yeah, definitely. But you know, the language and the bullying,
uncalled for.
Uncalled for right now. So okay, so yeah, the Hoya Bacha Forest is probably a place that, but definitely Banff and definitely Scotland. And yeah, if we ever win that $1 million, Pajerico, we're coming.
There you go. Okay, so for the fourth question, most memorable place?
Most of the places that we go are memorable for different reasons. Like even places, people's homes, like for the experiments we've had to come up with to try and prove or disprove or anything like that. But there's actually a top three, and I'll try to get through these quick. The first one would be the York Hotel in Grand Prairie that used to be there. Now, that's memorable because it was a great honor. All our investigations are an honor, even going to people's homes, the fact that they trust you into going to their homes. But the York Hotel was owned by a former mayor, and he actually contacted us, and they trust us enough so much. They actually gave the keys to Brian, the cop. And I'm just going to refer to him as a cop, and I apologize for that, just to separate him from Brian Anderson. And gave us the keys to this abandoned hotel that they were slated for demolition, and just let us go at it, all four of us. And the fact that we were in this abandoned hotel, and they trusted us, was amazing. And that would have been a good urban exploring video, but I didn't know about it back then. But, and we did have a few experiences there, but... And one, I don't know if Brian told you about this one, Brian Anderson, but when we were up in the hallway, as soon as we got up to the hallway, I had a dim light in the hallway. You looked down the hallway, and I turned to him, and I said, wouldn't it be interesting if two twin girls came around the corner going, would you play with us forever and ever? And I kind of freaked him out a bit. So just call that like a psychological experiment. But yeah, so the York Hotel. The second one would be Clive, definitely Clive. That was the weirdest investigation I've ever been on. It seems to be the most eventful too. They were going through, they were redoing the hotel, like they were renovating it. So yeah, the fact that we were locked in overnight wasn't helpful. But I think because of the renovations, if stuff were happening there, that's why it increased. And just weird, everything from feather boas to reactions to a sing-along to The Who. Like, if you haven't seen it, yeah, go see it. We weren't drunk. We were just tired. But yeah, we had some interesting things happen, especially with the couple videos that we caught. And the third one would be CKUA, the old building on 100, Jasper Avenue, about 104th, the old CKUA building, just because the story of Sam is one of the most well-known stories that Edmonton has. And the fact that we were able to prove, even though staff said that they worked with him, we actually tracked him down. We found out his real name, which we never release because he's still got family members that are still living, and out of respect, we don't need somebody out there or another group contacting them and bothering them. And the fact we did find out he was lobotomized, that was true. So actually finding out the background information, collaborated with the stories, and it was just a great honor because it was a very historical building. So those would probably be the top three.
Okay, so now question number 5. Where would you like to investigate again?
Well, I'd say the previous top three, but the York Hotel's not there anymore. So I'd like to go back to the Mackay School, just because I want to figure out what the heck went on with that door. And excuse that noise, that isn't ghosts, that's somebody throwing the garbage out. But yeah, definitely the Mackay School. Go back to the Clive Hotel, just to kind of set up some new experiments and try and disprove stuff. But I was in contact with the owner this past Halloween, and she said since they renovated, everything's kind of calmed down. There's been a few incidences reported, but not as much, but still would like to still go there. And third place, even though they're not there anymore, is the old CKUA building. Now, when they moved out, the reason why CKUA moved out is it wasn't because they didn't like the building anymore, it was too expensive. Their boiler that they had in that building was 100 years old. It was one of the original boilers. So they were constantly going through water main breaks, electrical problems. And when you're a radio station, that's dangerous because of your electrical equipment. And some of the historical records and tapes they had down there, they had a copy of the original King's speech. I'm not talking the movie, I'm talking the actual record.
Wow.
And so it was going to be 6 figures to renovate it, and they said we can't afford it, so that's why they moved. And unfortunately, you know, everybody was in fear because of Edmonton. Oh, somebody's out of there, let's tear the building down and build up a piece of crap and charge a lot of money for it.
Yep.
But luckily somebody obviously did buy it because they've renovated the front and they've got some tenants in there now. And I would love to go there. I would love to hear from anybody who are tenants in there now to see if they've got any experiences going on, or if since the boiler's been taken out and everything like that. Because I did have a theory about, a lot of people said they heard voices down that one hallway. But being down there for a long time with the boiler and the sound of the pipes and the whole wiring and that, pardon me, all these different sounds on top of one another,
Yeah.
Audio hallucinations. So I'd like to see if that's still happening. And I'd also like to see if maybe Sam's still there, or if he moved with CKUA folks. Like, I'd like to hear from somebody from CKUA. Did Sam go with you, or has everything stopped? So, yeah, definitely would like to go back there.
Okay. So, question number 6.
Mm-hmm.
What are your feelings or views on demons?
Now, I'm not gonna. Pardon me. I got a little bit of cold going on, but. I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm actually going to do a separate video for that. And I'm warning everybody ahead of time, I'm probably going to be going on a rant because of a lot of the emails that we received about people being told by other people that they've got demons in their house. So I'm using that and scaring the hell out of people when they don't need to be scared. So I will be doing a different video on that one. So I'll get that up when I have another good day.
Okay, so we'll go on to question number 7.
Yeah, you bet.
Do you believe in Ouija boards?
Okay.
So I just did the little...
Now, Ouija boards. I'm actually very fascinated with some of the old designs from the Edwardian Victorian era. In fact, I've made planchette jewelry. Okay. But, so a Ouija board. It's an inanimate object. So it's a planchette made out of wood or cardboard or whatever they're making them out of now. Harmless. There are no spirits attached to them when you buy them. Okay? They're completely harmless. Now, when you get them in front of a person, or people who are trying to open something up, and especially if they don't know what they're doing and don't know how to protect themselves. And Candace is, she's got her own own experiences. It becomes a focus tool, just like a pendulum, just like the glass. Like a Monopoly board could probably do the same thing if you actually believe it's going to open something up. Because you get a bunch of people or one person around, they're opening themselves up to whatever might be there. So, and especially if you haven't, if it's your first time or whatever, my belief is that can open up problems.
Oh, yes.
So the fact that they sell them beside Monopoly boards in Toys R Us and stuff like that just kind of drives me bonkers. Again, because it becomes a tool, it becomes a focus. So again, when you buy them, they're just like anything else. But when they become a focus for something, it's not the board itself, it's actually you that's doing it. It becomes a tool for you. And that's when you run into problems. Like, for instance, could be trying to contact Uncle Bob, like Bob's your uncle. And if something's there and it's like, oh, this person's open, well, I'm going to pretend I'm Uncle Bob, and then I'm going to start causing a whole bunch of heck, because theory states that energy, especially scared energy, and that is like kibble and bits to whatever might be there to get them to be more strong and be able to communicate more. That's why theory is to state that there was a lot of poltergeist activity around, especially girls when they were going through puberty, because their hormones are all over the place. Which, and actually I know a few menopausal women like that too, so I'm just hoping it doesn't happen to me when that comes along, because that could be interesting. But yeah, so don't use a Ouija board or anything like that if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what, if you're not protected, because I have not heard one good Ouija board story since I started back in 2004. Every Ouija board story has been bad.
Still kind of haunted from mine.
Well, everybody I know, almost everybody I know has played with them. And I even know somebody who went to the Mike High School because she knew one of the maintenance guys and did it, and she's been haunted ever since. Yep. So yeah, don't play with, and for God's sakes, if you feel a need to play with them, don't do it stoned or drunk. Some of the emails I got on that, one guy was like, his experience is weird, and then he explained that his cat hovered and floated across and I went, and then he admitted he was smoking something quite interesting. So
that's why the cat hovered. It
that's
really
why,
hover.
yeah. So yeah, I don't suggest screwing around with them. If you're going to, don't do that, because if you don't know what you're doing, everybody who's been drunk, and thank God there wasn't YouTube when I was in my 20s, because when you're drunk, you usually don't know what you're doing, and your defenses are down anyway, so that's just really asking for trouble. So that's my opinion on Ouija boards. So yeah, just don't do it. Yeah, you look at them, have them in your house as like cool things if you want, but yeah, just don't screw around with them. It's not a good thing. Everybody I know that's played with them has had bad experiences. And
I was just a kid.
Yeah, most of the people I know that did do it were just kids. They're under the age of like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was me and Brian Anderson that
Brian Anderson
played with that Ouija board, and we were probably in grade 3.
Oh my God. Yeah. So again, don't play with them, and yeah. So, but is that for the questions?
That's it for the questions. We are through.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so I want to thank everybody again for the questions and hearing me drone on, and I'd like to thank Candace for coming over and being part of this. So I do have friends. It's not just me.
I was more than happy to go over and do it.
That's awesome.
I was actually excited.
That's awesome. Candace was actually supposed to join the team quite a few years back, because I met her through Brian Anderson,
Yep.
but I think it was after he moved, we just lost contact. So
just stayed Facebook friends.
Yeah, and so now with this new team, hoping that she'll join us on a few, and
I'll be there.
That's awesome. So anyway, I want to thank everybody and thank Candace again, and wish everybody a happy new year, and stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.